guys, welcome to our review of Secret Level on Amazon. Now, if you don't know, this is a series for people that love video games, and there's various stories, short stories from these video games, various licenses, including Warhammer, Dungeons & Dragons, Armored Core, Concord for some reason, which I'm excited to get to. And
I was like looking
what
for that.
the hell?
I was like, damn.
Unfortunately,
not
only
yet.
8 episodes right now. So that was on December 10th, 8 episodes, and on December 17th, another 8 episodes. If you want, let us know. We'll review those as well. But we're going to review the first half of the Secret Level season. And the first thing that's going to be compared to is Love, Death, and Robots. And the reason why is because, they're shorter little vignettes, Love, Death, Robots. There's episodes anywhere between 6 to 22 minutes on that one. And it also is co-created by Tim Miller, who worked on this and also worked on Love, Death, Robots. So there's plenty of crossover there. So you can almost look at this as Love, Death, Robots Season 4, only with video game properties. I gotta say, I think a lot of reviewers have maybe rated it pretty harshly. They've maybe seen all of the episodes.
But even then,
I disagree. I had a lot of fun. Go ahead, Joe. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I don't get that. I was watching it and I was like, where are IGN again, whatever. They gave it a 5. It's a mediocre.
Just like the
wait.
Penguin fucking review of 5 out of 10. It's like, God, do these people even know what they're talking about? Do they even like video games?
Maybe
anymore?
they only watched the Control, not the Control one, the Crossfire one.
Well, maybe they know something we don't know, but this is the excuse I keep making for them because I said that for Penguin and they were wrong on Penguin.
Yeah,
but there might be some episodes we
on.
haven't seen yet later on that are terrible, that drag the series down. But from these first episodes, you have a lot of bangers.
Yeah.
I'm talking really good ones. Yeah, there's a few crappy ones, and we'll talk about those crappy ones. But I think there's 2 standout ones. The 2 standout ones for me, 3 standout ones. Armored Core, Keanu Reeves, what? I didn't expect this.
Yeah, that's mine.
New Worlds, Arnold Schwarzenegger, what? I didn't expect this. Like a little short movie, short story. Kind of has nothing to do with New World, which is good, I guess. Well, no, there's good elements and bad elements. And then, of course, Warhammer 40,000, which the creator of Astartes, the fan-made film, is actually involved. I think Saima, I'll have to look up his name.
His series is really good.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of shared scenes.
You could tell his inspiration on that, and the attention to detail was incredible. So those 3 episodes in particular, this is worth watching. If you're video game fans like we are, which I'm pretty sure you are because you're watching the Angry Joe Show, I think you should go out and on this Amazon Prime and check them out.
Yeah, just skip Crossfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, whatever.
Yeah,
I was so fucking bored with that particular episode.
We baddies now.
Alex, what did you think?
Baddies.
Now, I think the biggest criticism I've seen levied against it is that the episodes are too short, and therefore they're not feature length, and therefore they don't tell a complete story. And I guess I just had my expectations already set to short stories, where I'm not going to get if you're going between 12 minutes, 6 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't expect it to be this feature-length film. Now, I've always wanted a Blur Studios, because this is Blur Studios. These guys are amazing. I've always wanted a feature-length Blur Studios film, and I would hope for that. And a certain side of me does grant if we had these at 30-minute, if we had these at an hour.
Especially like Warhammer, if they do that for Amazon.
Oh, my
that would be pretty
God.
fucking sweet.
Yeah, forget it. That's 10 out of 10 territory, Joe. And if these were an hour, I think that has the potential to blow up and eventually, get movies made and make it. But when you're just going with these little appetizers, basically like the beginning of a video game level or the cutscenes in between a video game RPG. But I think, and some people have levied it as a criticism, I think that was the point. Secret Level is like, here's a little interesting bit of a video game story in a short form. And so for me, I guess my expectations were already set.
Yeah, I agree with that. Exactly, because like coming into this, I figured it was going to be like Love, Death, and Robot stuff. Just like short thing, you don't have enough time to develop characters and do all this stuff. But it did do what it was kind of set out to do. Like the first one, the D&D, with like the whole group and everything. It's like you don't really get much of a backstory, but kind of makes me want to play Baldur's Gate again. Or
Me too.
Some more D&D.
Me too. It does more
cool.
justice.
And I like the animation. I like the action.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it's supposed to be. Just a little
Right.
teaser.
And get straight to the action because they know the gamers want the action. And here you got the action. And that is kind of the main feature of each one of these. And I appreciate that. My gamer brain liked it. And I think you guys will like it. So I recommend this is a good
stuff.
series so far. Good
yeah.
stuff. We're going to individual ratings here in a second, but I think it's a good debut. And I liked it and I recommend it. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a mouth breather and you don't understand how short stories work and you like IGN, you're not going to like it. But it's a short story and it works. Some things work better. Some things only work in short story form because stretching them out, things just don't translate very well.
Lights out,
and so
horror stuff.
Yeah, I think there's great. Like Stephen King has some wonderful short stories that people try to make full length stories out, and it just doesn't work.
No.
And so this, I think a lot of them work really, really, really well. I think this is better than the last season of Love, Death, Robots so far. Yeah. It is possible that it falls apart and we just get nothing but Crossfire towards the end. Because
I didn't see episode or season 3 of Love, Death, Robots. Can you give me one example? Do you
They're
remember
kind of
anything?
forgettable. They're just like
Super forgettable.
Yeah.
It's just the quality of storytelling.
Maybe I did see it and I just forgot.
Yeah, and I think we may watch it together. Maybe it's just it's been going downhill, and this I think for the most part is all really
inject some fresh new ideas here.
Yeah, it's great. So there's like 3-4 different studios they've working on this. Blur did 3 of them, and a bunch of them. There's a bunch of other studios doing other ones. So I think all of them did a really good job. There is some weirdness where it's like kind of looks live actiony and Uncanny Valley again, Crossfire, but super solid stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, well, that's a positive. I basically averaged all my scores together and gave it an overall season premiere rating. So I'll ask you guys to do that. Average all your scores together in your head or based upon feeling, and give me a final verdict. I'll begin here. I think this had the potential. This was hovering at 8, 9, 10 for me, but there was a few in there that brought it down. So I'm going to end at a very, very solid 7 for the premiere, and then we'll see how the additional episodes add on to that. And, on the whole idea of this season and series, we'll see in the final finale verdict. But right now, 7 out of 10 for me.
I'm going to go 1 above 8.
Yeah, I think if we're averaging together and just getting a general feel, I think what's almost unfair about it is I feel so strongly about some of them that I don't want to give it a 7. I almost feel like I'm going to say I think Crossfire's terrible. There's 1 or 2 that aren't any good. Skip those, and I think the premiere's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would also give it an 8 out of 10 if you're focusing on some of those episodes.
Yeah, some of them.
I actually did the math on this one, which I rarely do. For some reason, I just felt like mathing it out. It's a 7.375,
and no half points here.
Based on don't be a man, do the right thing. No wishy-washy. So I went to a 7 because. I really do think that these deserve longer episodes, and this would be a format that could benefit from that. Okay, so let's go into the individual episodes and talk about them. So if you don't want spoilers, and go watch those now. Otherwise, stick with us. Okay, welcome to the breakdown in the spoiler section. So let's just go down along the line. Episode 1, it's Dungeons and Dragons: The Queen's Gambit. Loved it. Alex, talk to me about this.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, if you're a big fan of D&D, It's going to hit almost all the things that you want. Nice little short story. There's all the juicy Easter eggs and member
I
berries
didn't
and
realize
references.
the halflings have such stubby little arms.
Right
little
when she's
mage.
casting the fire, I was like,
"Shh,
that looks
it's not
weird.
gonna go nowhere. But that's how tall they are, Joe.
Hey,
Yeah.
I choose that and being a bard as well. So I'm a halfling bard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
or naked gnome. Naked gnome
I
for
just
some
find
reason.
it hilarious that there is more character, more story, and a more interesting setup here than there is in a lot of other Amazon series and
that they said the game.
media out there. No, Dungeons and Dragons.
No, Velgard. I thought you were going to talk
Oh,
about
Veilguard? Yes. No, I agree. I actually like every single one of these characters more than the Veilguard characters. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I would much rather play as any of these. And just little teases at their backstory. The paladin was not always a paladin.
Not
How
always.
fucking interesting is that? That's cool. She's got scars all over her face. You could tell she's a genuinely good person. Whereas some people would abandon this child who has tattoos all over him and is clearly dragon cursed with some kind of immense power. She just kind of bullheadedly, ignores all that and sees the good in him and helps this person out. And and I love the team. I so rarely was like, in my head, I'm like, how the fuck does priest work? In classes and shit, or the monk priest guy. And I was like, oh, that's legit. Okay, that's cool. I like seeing him. That he's kind of like a dwarf, and he's got a lot of
the
barriers
monk
and
kicks
rings
ass
and
in
powers.
Baldur's Gate.
It's still probably top 2 or 3 most broken classes in
Yeah.
all Baldur's Gate.
And
I was
then
like,
in
holy shit.
as well as in Diablo, right? Then they have a priest class in
Yeah,
that.
there was a monk. Yeah.
Monk in that as well. So I liked seeing him. That was pretty cool. I love the transformations from that other character. What would
druid.
that be? A druid? Yeah. And just fantastic. The dragon designs are really cool, and it's interesting that you can go to this dragon, and it will kind of take curses on, and it just couldn't handle the curse. And
That's a
I
big
knew
curse.
it was coming, even though it was predictable. It was still fun to watch.
Yeah.
The battles were great. The flying, what would you call that? Bat shrieker wyvern thing flying with the undead mage looking dude. Great sequences there. Interesting powers. Makes me want to live in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. One guy makes
Yeah.
fucking a gale of wind rust up or fling up. And then I'm like, okay, so they can't get past that. I was like, well, if he could do that, why doesn't he just knock people off? And then later on, you see him knock people off with the win. I'm like, thank you.
You only have
know?
so many spell slots, bro. You
It's-
can't just do everything over and over again.
It fit. And so eventually, I guess Tiamat was the demon inside the boy or something. Is this actual D&D? Is he a big threat in D&D? I don't know.
Yeah. He's one of the original big bads.
Okay, well, then this party of 5, or
And-
is it 4, is not going to defeat Tiamat.
Well, I mean, it depends on
To
what level they
continue.
are. I mean,
Well,
if,
I like the connection that because it was within the boy, he has the power to block some of the
Yeah.
magic because they're almost tied together. That's so
it's a
fascinating.
decently balanced party. If they're all close to level 20, then there's
Yeah.
there's a chance.
And they go, well, looks like we found our cleric, and just well executed. A great start. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
9 for me. I mean, I love D&D. I've been playing for a long time. It makes me miss it because I had such a really solid group, and so a lot of member berries and stuff where it's like, I like that. So better for me.
Yeah, 8, and I want to play again.
You want
some
to
D&D
play again?
or Baldur's Gate. Makes me
I
want to
watch
some
it
more.
again, frankly. I think it was
Well, now
great
we get to
too.
play Path of Exile, so
Little different.
It's different, but
Yeah,
it's-
we'll play Path of
yeah.
Exile to get scratch a little bit of that itch.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of our audience have been asking us to eventually play in D&D. I would just have to find a game master, not one of us. Well, he can do it, but he's got other responsibilities here, so it would be nice to have somebody
Yeah.
on the outside, and then we just
and
kind of
somebody with
participate.
voices. We need
Maybe
voices.
next year we'll figure we'll look at some of that stuff. Anyways, episode 2 goes on to Sifu. Now I really like this. I've got a review out there. Go check out our review or a video on Sifu, and it's called "It Takes a Life." And where this one felt like another great little self-contained story. The animation was pretty cool, similar to Arcane. So I'm like, I see what you're doing there, you know. So other studios can do that type of animation if a little hint to Riot and the Arcane showrunners. If you need help, if you want to work on simultaneous seasons so we don't have to wait 2 years in between, maybe talk to Digic Pictures. Digic Pictures is the one that did this one.
They're going to get bought up by Amazon.
Yeah, and
won't share.
you know, the animation was great, and I loved you know, the idea of tying it with this kind old woman, you know, the street vendor, and she makes dumplings and she pours her love into it. It's like, it made me hungry. I wanted to eat some dumplings, some good dumplings. Yeah, not just from a box. You can tell all the different spices and things that she's got on it. So it just made me interesting. She goes, I pour all of my love, heart, soul, and experience and years into this dumpling. And I was like, okay. I didn't quite see it coming, you know, what the point that they were making until the end. It was a great point. Meanwhile, you got these assholes as he's sitting down eating at the street vendor.
Yeah.
Assholes walk by. He recognizes the guy as a part of the gang that killed his father or, you know, family. I like that animation style switch, too. So both of the animations on display here by Digic Pictures was excellent. And then all the fights. Fantastic. You know, a lot of
Hallway fighting.
Hallway fighting. It gets a little knifey. A lot of knife, a lot of blood, you know, getting stabbed. But the twist here is our hero's not Jackie Chan, Invincible, Jet Li, or something. He's good, but he dies.
It's like an OJ playthrough.
I was about to say that. I was like, who's playing this character? Me.
Yeah, because
he's all old. It's like, yeah, that's me.
he didn't even make it past the second level before getting to ancient times. He's never beaten this game.
Yeah, so each time he dies, one of the pendants, medallions breaks, comes back, and he's old. And I love the way they depict the other world. You know, and seeing all the different possibilities and seeing all the different transitions and seeing himself as he learned. And so he comes back older. And I guess that kind of gives explanation for why he's aging, because I guess as he's learning all the different permeations, time is passing in normal time. I don't know. Outside in a little pocket dimension, and he comes back. But I like how they sprinkle a little bit of that, you know, deeper lore in there. Comes back an old man and continues to fight. That cool hallway scene, and then we get the boss fight. He's like, you must have a death wish, old man. All right, I'll grant you your death wish. And, you know, that's not the point. You knew he was gonna win. And I knew he was going to win. He's back sitting with the old lady of the dumplings, but he is old as shit.
And he only eats 4 dumplings? Who only eats 4?
Was it 4 or there was 3? Yeah,
Maybe
I think
they're
it was 4.
very filling.
He was old as shit, and, you know, she goes,
I bet your grandson.
you know, 60 years. She put her 60 years of her life in him, you know, and then she kind of recognizes him and as the guy, and she goes, was it worth it? You know, and or no, he asks her when she tells him that it was 60 years of her life in the dumplings, and then she goes, you tell me. And are we talking about dumplings, or are we talking about revenge?
Message.
Was it worth it? Message. You love that from Drinking OJ in the Hood.
Yeah, don't be a menace.
Don't be a menace. It's
a great one. For me, this one, I liked it. It's quick and short. You get a little backstory. Nice and tidy. Overall, I'm going to give this one a 7. I liked it a little bit less, but still good.
I liked it more. I'm going to give it an 8. And I think what bumped it up is the real good music. I actually let this one play out to the whole credits because the song playing, I guess I just love that style of songs that are in often kung fu films. And man, the credits are fucking long in these. It's just like the Disney Plus stuff where it takes like 10 minutes of credits to finish. But I was thankful in this case because the song was really good. So 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, same. 8 out of 10. I really like Sifu and being able to go back and look at it. And plus the dumplings. I love dumplings.
Yeah. So episode 3, this one was a real surprise. New World, Once and Future King. And honestly, when I saw initially, I'm like, New World, this is not going to interest me. It's not going to tickle my fancy. I'm not going to enjoy it. And at first I'm like, what is this? I'm thinking, oh, this is generic and this and that. But first off, I was like, that voice seems familiar.
Yeah, I was
number
like, wait
one.
a minute.
And he sounds kind of younger than he's ever sounded before. But it is Arnold as this king conqueror, Aelstrom, I think his name was, if I got his name right. And basically, this is just, I don't know what to describe him as, a meathead fucking prick who, is entitled and where he comes from, he's in charge. And so he's going out and conquering this, and he's got a loyal servant, a one-armed man who's his butler, basically. And he announces him every time he comes in to a place, and it's cool. And man, this looks fucking great.
Yeah.
At times, his servant looked like a real human being. This is, let me see. This is not Blur Studio. I thought this was Blur Studio. It looked better in Blur Studio. It was Unit Image that did this one. So really impressed with the facial expressions, the realism, and I liked it. So eventually, they get, I think it's a lightning strike that slams into the boat or something that destroys the boat.
He's shipwrecked.
And then they get shipwrecked. And I love, this is just funny.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I really like.
The comedy in this one, the comedy relief, where it's like, and then boom, you get your ass kicked. So the first thing that happens is he gets up off the floor and he sees like, this will be my first subject, and so he's pontificating and wanting to be worshipped. And she just fucking murders his. I was like, no, not the servant, because like in such a short amount of time, I already liked his servant guy, and then obviously he was a bit of a dick here. But let's see, Scaevola, and his servant gets run through by a sword, and then she fucking cuts his neck open. And I was like, oh. Okay, well, that ended quite quickly. I didn't realize that, of course, you respawn and you have immortal life here. So why don't y'all continue with this one?
Yeah, he takes over. He's like, oh, I am a god. I can't die. He's like, no, everyone here can't die. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to take over. He goes into the palace and finds the king. He's like, I am going to overthrow you. I'm going to be new king. They fight. He keeps dying over and over and over. Then he tries to get some powers from I forget from where. He goes to
Just an evil area.
yeah, so
with
he
evil
keeps
power.
dying again. He's like, oh, my pancreas. I
Laughed. I laughed
Yes,
at his
I
joke.
laughed.
That's our kind of humor.
It
When we
is.
were growing up, we would like make little short films and stuff. And anytime somebody's off screen getting beat up, my pancreas. So it's like them
he
motherfuckers
keeps
were
getting
growing
piece by
up with
piece, getting more stuff, and he's like, oh, my liver, multiple stuff. Then he finally gets the whole thing. He busts in. He's like, all right, finally, I'm gonna take you out. He casts this amazing spell, but by the time it gets to the king, it's like, psh, does it all.
It's just hilarious, man. Arnold is he's into it. He's doing a good job as a voice actor, and he's not taking himself too serious. He even does when he
He
dies
gets
with the
stabbed.
chest piece in his fucking
I like
eye.
that, too.
He went, man, I'm about to convince me to raise a point here.
Yeah,
Anyways, and he's always speaking in third person. I fucking love that. And somebody's like, does he always speak in third person?
Yeah, his father was the king, and before him, he just
It's like,
entitled.
I don't understand.
And he lost. Well,
Everybody, I'm the greatest fighter. I would always win my fights. How am I losing so much here?
everything's staged.
It's because people let you win, he said. And he got mad at his servant dude, and he fucking picked him up and threw him, tossed him aside. And I was like, how are you going to do that to Scaevola? And
She's been so loyal. I've been there for
yeah,
her.
and then he goes into the he's like, what do I do now without a king? So he goes and serves the other king, and eventually when he comes back, it's cool because this character, this butthead, essentially learns a little something: humility, appreciation, friendship, and eventually it's kind of a feel good thing where he humbles himself. And goes back to the first lady that he mistreated and said, hey,
Teach me how to
can you
forge."
teach me? And he slowly learns through hard work. And then what is he working on? It's going to be yet another way to take over the island. Nope. It's a nice fucking arm. And earlier he had made fun of him. He's like, ha ha, you're stuck with the arm, but we're immortal and they couldn't even give you your arm back. And we come back not disfigured, but you're still disfigured. So he's being a fucking ass, and he realizes, no, I'm going to make him a robot arm. And so he
With the
makes him a
crown.
fucking
Yeah.
crown fit for a king. So, mwah, great. And did you notice we even got the
Yes,
classic
yeah.
handshake? And I was like,
I thought
did you
about
do
that.
that on purpose? Did you do that? Unit image? That's the Predator Arnold Matrix handshake.
Pushing to
So
Aliens,
I
you
originally
son of
gave
a
it a
bitch.
9 out of 10, but I see nothing wrong with it. I'm going to go up to a 10 out of 10. I
I'm
liked
gonna
it that
yeah,
much.
I really liked it. I'm gonna go with the 9. I liked it when he's like, all right, let's instead of fighting, let's play chess. He plays chess. He loses.
Yeah.
He's like, tries to stab him. Funny stuff. I liked it. I'm gonna go with an 8 or 9.
I liked it less. I'll give it a 7, and I'm like rounding up to a 7. I thought it was okay.
Aw.
I think that the animation quality for all these things is excellent. So it's like I'm not going to give them like a bunch of extra points for it. Some of the things were funny, and they just kept doing the same joke over and over, and it's like I kind of grew tired of it towards the end.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just my kind of comedy. Arnold, you're
Yeah.
going to get bonus points
Exactly.
from me. All right, so episode 4, the Unreal Tournament, Zan, I think this one was called. And this one was, a classic story. We've seen the story a few times. This mining robot is gaining sentience. Humans are being fucking jerk-offs to it, knocking it aside, abusing it. Killing his companions, and he's noticing this. His light turns from red to green when he has the sentience, and he eventually gets sick of this shit and these fucking pieces of shit people. To make sure that the humans are good and ready to be killed, just acting like assholes, running them over, just throwing them, sometimes just killing them for no reason. And so eventually he fights back. Creates a robot rebellion as he's able to kind of transfer his consciousness to the other robots there. But eventually in this transition, he gets captured, or there's a narration that it's like, oh, this rebellion's going on. All right, capture them, put them in, and make a lesson out of it. And they take him to the Unreal Games. And so then, these 8 generic assholes pop up and they
Destroy
fight,
first.
8 robots. Get his ass kicked. I thought he was going to win right away, but, they keep you on your toes at least right there. But then he learns, and then he does all these awesome maneuvers, and he's fucking doing cool shit. I did notice how he started using his own his own companions, just like the humans
He's
were
already
using.
dead, right?
It's like, okay, but how does that make sense if you're dead? But it's for a purpose.
Like, they're not even supposed to be combat trained, so how'd that happen?
Yeah, and they can't figure, I guess, the bug. They think it's a bug in the
Yeah.
system, but he's gained sentience. And eventually he wins, and he takes over the whole thing by uploading himself into the computers and, inspiring a real rebellion. And she's like, all right, fuck this, send in the elite forces. The elite forces fight him with this guy that's, been in
main
charge.
baddie.
Main baddie. He defeats them, and eventually standing on the podium, rebel, and then everybody in the audience goes, rebel. It was pretty cool, though, when she comes out with her, guard. Yes, you won, but just shoot him, kill him. And then he just snaps everybody's, bodies by, conform. What was her fate? How did he take care of her? I don't even remember.
I don't think he killed. I mean,
No, I don't
everyone.
think he did.
left
He just
her alive,
posted- Yeah,
right?
because he posted that video. It's like, oh, we're just gonna.
Yeah, she's telling the masses that it's like
Mm.
these people
These
are
idiots
yeah.
and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed the guns. I enjoyed the story. I'm a sucker for the Wall-E kind of stuff and the sentience.
Did you and I watch the same
machines.
Wall-E thing? Because that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
I know.
it's sentience in
Yeah.
these robot slaves that are being abused and stuff. So I thought, yeah, it's tropey, but it's still good. There's not necessarily any surprises in it, but
No.
I liked it. It was solid enough. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
9. I like the action. I like the story, and I was entertained. Good short story. 9.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's super solid, and I mean, compared to like other media, it would be higher, but like we're comparing it to some really sweet short stories here.
Yeah, and it's told really well. While it's tropey and stuff, I think it worked. Episode 5, Warhammer 40,000, and they shall know no fear. I'm gonna come out right as a 10 out of fucking 10. This is fucking amazing. It's great. You could tell Astartes has, some influence on it. The way the Marines move, the way, the style, the universe, the atmosphere, the music, the gunshots, the sounds, everything is so well done here. And then they throw in some stuff that I'm glad they don't feel restricted by the tabletop. They have essentially Chaos bikers or it's kind of they remind me of the Necromunda tabletop game. You could say they're just cultists, but they're kind of a mixture, so there's no exact tabletop unit like that. So I like that they're kind of doing their own thing. Eventually this unit is sent out, and you realize, oh cool, this is kind of an origin story for Titus. I didn't even expect Titus to be in it. Here, lo and behold, he's here. He basically chooses this child that seemingly had no fear from the very
Something
beginning.
wrong with his brain.
Something happened to him. Yeah, and you're right. Something's wrong with his brain, because normal humans, actually fucking do this. But as a fan of the lore, my God, it was so cool seeing how a drop pod functions, from start to finish, from the Battlefleet Gothic stuff up in the space.
It whacks all
the
over his
ships.
computer.
And they're dragging this really cool box. This like what the fuck is that?
What's
They're
in the
dragging a
box?
coffin around like Django or something. It's really cool. And yeah, like I said, this group of Marines is confronted by Chaos Raiders. And I was worried here. It's like, because I didn't know initially that the guy that did Astartes was involved here. So I'm like, okay, this is Amazon. How are they going to approach this? Is there going to be a few Marines that go down? I'm like, no. The Marines should not even... they shouldn't even flinch to this group of Chaos that were attacking them. Perfect. That is exactly how it works. And they attack. It's so cool. They're so coordinated. It's exactly how I'd imagine a Space Marine squad would fight together. And and they're just basically no threat to these Marines, because these guys, 100 Marines are as good as 10,000 Imperial Guard in the lore and stuff. So they did a great job there. And as soon as the combat started, I was like, holy fuck. This is it. What do you guys think?
I really liked it. For me, I'm going to give this like a 9 out of 10. I didn't know much of the lore, but I still had the badass feel, and it looked amazing. I was like, okay, this is what I would assume you would want Amazon to present to you.
If there was ever Space Marine stuff, yeah. But
it's
like
going to be hard doing this with the live action.
Is that the first thing you thought? Because that's the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. I was like, this is
holy
done
fuck,
very well.
this is it. This is it. 100%. And then in my happiness, I instantly became worried.
Me
because
too.
I wrote,
Me too.
they can never get this done right in live action.
It looks so fucking badass when they're in the dark.
With the momentum, the fists, and just
the blood.
literally exploding people's heads in an instant. And how they move, it just would not look right in live action.
But this was great.
Have you watched all of Astartes? You
No,
should,
I've
because
not.
there are scenes that they're not like one-for-one rips, but you'll watch and go, yeah, I've seen this kind of stuff. I actually just stopped the video and looked to see if this guy was involved, the Astartes guy, and was like, yeah, this guy did a really good job. He knows what he's doing. And this is exactly why you use animation. This is why you use animation.
Exactly.
Because you cannot do this in real life. Not without spending $1 billion on it over the course of 20 episodes. But I mean, this was really great stuff. I think I'll also go with 9. I think it's truly excellent stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know what that. thing was it?
The Demon Prince.
Yeah, so
Some of
let
the
me
stuff.
continue here a little bit. I want to revel in some of this. So as as they take care of the infantry and the bikers easily, then you get versus what I think is a Lehman Russ tank. I think that's the Demolisher because it has that huge Gatling gun. And so the Gatling gun, they use their shields. And there's also a buggy that comes out from behind the tank, and I just love the Marine just smashes this fucking
Yeah,
vehicle.
it's
I'm
like, holy
yeah,
shit.
it kind of shows you that they are walking tanks themselves. Now they can't do that to the Lemon Russ, but they do something similar where he literally hops up top, gets rid of the rider, drops a grenade in, and walks off and blows, or actually plants. I think what is a melta bomb, either
Yeah,
a
nobody looks at
melter
it.
or plasma, and then
Walk
they do
away.
the cool guy, no look explosion, walk away thing, and I was like, mwah, chef's
I
kiss.
was thinking, like, once he
Grace.
put it, the guy was still dragging the box. I was like, is there enough time? You still got to walk past.
or
He's
is
like,
that
hurry
box
up.
gonna blow up?
It's gonna look weird. He's like, oh shit. He's gonna
And
run.
then you can see the passion and love here, and I hope that we're gonna be able to see this in the live action Amazon
worried.
series
Little worried.
because the purity seals start to burn up as they walk into a fucking tainted area. And that's so cool. Purity seals are essentially, the little wax, skull that they put with the little piece of paper with a bunch of, writing on it, holy writing and scriptures. And they go burn up with this like black ooze that's floating upward. And we get chaos. And I'm like, okay, so this is a little preview of what they could do and the horror they can do in live action. So we get the Zanganors in the dark. This is a faction that I play,
Love this scene.
the Thousand Suns. And it's in the dark, and you boom, boom. So you get the lights, And they do this cool creative thing. I don't know if that's in the lore, if the blood actually does glow bright blue like
Yeah.
that. But I'm like, perfect.
Makes night attacks really dangerous.
Yeah, because then you get all the footsteps and you get all the smears of blood everywhere. It just looks so good. And in that box, so then they finally arrive. They slide down because their armor allows them to pretty much, traverse anything and do anything. And I looked up, and this is what I thought was a statue, but I think is actually a kind of a dormant greater demon, a Lord of Change, which when I saw that, I was like, the 5 Marines are going to get obliterated.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do against it. But what's cool is they brought a priest. He pops out of the box. I thought it was going to be some assault cannon or something. But no, it's a little priest. And it comes, it's like, shit, man. And people are like, these people, their whole life purpose is for, this moment. And he creates this little bubble. And, of course, the chaos, forces of chaos try to do some fucking weird attacks and shit of hands trying to go through. And, he's just a fucking priest, so he's not going to last long, especially not against kind of an elite. I think it looks like a Slanesh kind of demon, but I think it is a Tzeentch sorcerer. And this Tzeentch sorcerer,
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but it looks cool.
it looked cool as fuck, didn't it? It kind of reminds you of Pan and Labyrinth and shit with
Yeah.
this like fucking, tentacle or fucking mandibles and this eye. And it's like, and then time stops, and like these Marines have like no defense against it. It's kind of what when they brought their guy, he couldn't do shit against it either, where he gets murdered, impaled, and it was just so cool. Like, this is 40K. The Marines, while they could slaughter hundreds and hundreds of chaos cultists with, ballistic weapons and shit, they're helpless against the forces of chaos. And one guy literally melts in his fucking armor. As he falls, you can see all the blood rushing out of all the orifices. I'm like, holy shit. It's just great stuff. And very creatively done, because as the demon comes up to you and then talks to you, it does the zoom in effect with the eyes, and then you're having this mind battle with the demon. Even the sergeant himself is overcome and, gets hurt and mortally wounded, and then they go to Titus. Well, maybe not mortally wounded, just heavily wounded.
They can take 2 now.
Yeah. 2 wounds on the tabletop is what he's talking about. And then they go to Titus, and this is a man. This
Titus'
is a kid.
brain is broken.
His brain is broken. The demon can't do shit.
That's right. Battle of Wits. Titus is ill-equipped, and the demon's just like, "What do you mean you don't have a brain
What's
for
wrong
me to
with you?"
corrupt?"
Yeah.
It's my time to shine.
Yeah.
So in there you go.
Can't corrupt what you don't have.
I just loved it. And he resists and he kills the fucking creature. Probably the best headbutt I've ever seen. Like, fuck you. He just spits in the face of chaos. And it's just so cool. And I'm like, well, what are they there for? What's going on here? And it's target coordinates received. And basically
source of the taint.
an orbital strike to kill a Lord of Change, a greater demon. And you're going to need something like that because none of the weapons that those Marines had in that tactical squad is going to be able to do anything. Yes, a fucking orbital strike from, the cruisers in orbit could definitely do something. So, yeah, and it was great, man.
Yeah.
It just shows what the universe is capable of, and frankly, in my eyes, maybe this is the best format for this kind of stuff.
For sure.
First Space Marines for sure.
I would love
You could do
to
a lot
see
more.
a feature-length film like this up on the big screen. I would buy 10 tickets. I would force every single one of my subscribers, and I would go to their house.
Did
and
you
I
go to
would
the movie yet?
Make them. Did you go to the movie yet? And I would make them go. For some company out there to do it. I don't think it'll ever be done. I don't think that's a dream. And then when you go live action, I think there is the risk of it becoming too hokey and too cheap looking, and then they're like, see, this failed because and they move on, and then we lose out all the investment and money that you would need in order to make these feature films, even in CGI. And maybe so, but whatever. If that happens, who gives a fuck? We always have the tabletop. We always have Games Workshop. We always have the lore books. We can always make this kind of stuff ourselves. What I'm trying to say is join the hobby. Anyways, but we'll see how things turn out. But I'll just tell you 10 out of fucking 10 on this. You knew we were going to talk about that one for a while. Moving on, episode 6, Pac-Man Circle. So here I simultaneously respect the idea of doing something completely different with a license. It's fucking Pac-Man. Who gives a shit? It's about fucking a yellow circle eating blue circles and fruits. Who gives a fuck? And then ghosts chasing him. I don't need it to be lore accurate. So simultaneously, I was like, oh, that's cool. You're doing kind of a horror sci-fi take on Pac-Man. However, for me personally, this one didn't really work, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I was like, look, I respect you for going out and
Yeah.
doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like it compared to all of the rest
you
of it.
agree?
I was like, nah.
What about you, Alan?
I love the premise. I
Yeah.
like the idea of them
Eat
doing
or
a
be
really
eaten.
cool thing, but I don't like the execution. And I mean,
I think we're all there. So this guy is born. I'm going to go ahead and come out with the rating. 4 out of 10. I think it was slightly below average. I was bored. Other than the mystery of how all this factors in, and frankly, this is Mrs. Pac-Man, right? Because the little fucking or the golden ball that actually turns into the Chomper had a female voice. So it's Miss Pac-Man.
5 for me.
yeah, I also was. It's really short. If they had stretched this out, I definitely could have seen. Like this one was only like 7 minutes long.
Yeah. I don't want more in this universe. Don't care.
It's hard to do something with it.
Yeah.
With it, I respect it, but
Not for me. But I will talk a little bit more about it. So you got this little creature who's born from a tube. It looks like a Tau from 40K, and he's like this little flailing. What did I write that? Little failing robot, eat or be eaten. I don't know. I think I misspelled something there. So, but basically, eat or be eaten. And so I kept waiting for, I don't know, fruits that were in the shape of dots.
me too. I was like, okay, he's gonna eat
like,
something. Is he gonna transform into something bigger? What's gonna happen?
And then
It's
what
like,
do the ghosts look like and stuff like that. Well, eventually finds a sword, and obviously when you're watching, you're like, wait, this is not Pac-Man. What's going on here? And then you slowly realize what it is. And he's like, I can't eat that ghost, and she's like, oh, of course you can eat them. You just never their eyes. And I was like, oh, okay. So they're making references to when you eat one of the
go
ghosts,
back to home base.
and the eyes fly back and they go down back to home base. But later on, it doesn't make sense because it's revealed what some of those ghosts are, or at least it has the same symbol as the ghosts on it, and they're big, huge, fucking muscular brute gorilla things, right? Or is that just one of the creatures?
I think it's maybe
Because
it's one of the
they
creatures,
do a montage of him. What's great about this maze and learning is you learn how to, overcome it or whatever. And he's fighting, creatures and flying creatures and alligator creatures and all these other weird little things.
But I was expecting him to eat. He never really ate.
Well, he did
one.
eat
Once.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
Once.
he was eating all those creatures. So I'm going to say creatures instead of cherries and strawberries
Yeah.
and things like that is what they were doing.
Maybe it tastes like cherries.
Or those were the little dots that he's eating, progressing. And until you get to a big one where, I don't know, these big gorilla brute creatures. And I'm just like, why this? Why this, Frank? Why this? Why Pac-Man? Why did you do this? There's plenty of
They
video
need their
games.
own-
I mean, I've seen T-shirts and like just internet images of really cool takes on Pac-Man, where there's like there's astronauts on a space station, and like there's a bunch of dead astronauts, and they're the ghosts. And then
Cool,
there's
I've
just
never
one,
seen
and
that.
then like there's
That's
really,
that-
and so it's like
yeah.
I want that. Like the T-shirt I saw
Horror.
at a comic convention was better than this, 10, 20, 30 million dollars. It's like, come on, the story wasn't there.
So he eventually dies because like the golden ball bites him and then kind of like turns into him, and they
Yeah,
turn
impales
into
him in the
this
back and then turns
gore
into
version of Pac-Man.
Yeah, but
And now they're able to kill the big brute creatures, rips its arm off, and they run away.
start the cycle.
but
all
he
over
dies
again.
in the process,
But
and
he dies in
only
the
a
process.
human-esque thing can escape because it shows on the exit. It has to be a human.
Yeah, and she's like, there's strength in repetition. There's strength in repetition. So apparently this golden ball will be forever trapped here because when it consumes the human creature vehicle in order to turn into the big Pac-Man thing, then it dies. And yeah, you need to.
You need to find the
We're
right
going
player.
way too deep in the lore here for this particular thing, but that's how it works. And then at the end, they show more tubes, and the process just starts
Again.
all over again, and it's kind of like a horror take. Again, like I said, I respect the idea
It's
and the
neat,
thing.
yeah.
It's neat, but it wasn't for me. The execution, and frankly, I was bored. And speaking of bored, episode 7.
Crossfire.
You get an F.
You'll get cotton.
Yeah,
I
this-
love that game. That game is great. We
Crossfire,
own 2
good
copies
conflict.
of Crossfire.
We have one.
The board game, the cool,
He's talking about the board game.
the cool leather jacket gun. Yeah, like we have 2 copies of. That's how good that is. This
the other
is
Crossfire
not that.
sucks ass.
Yeah.
And if I'm thinking of it right, the multiplayer was fucking broken at release, and it's just
Yeah.
like this
Yeah, I had fun with it.
garbage
Yeah, you were gone.
property that's so popular in other countries, but not really in the U.S. And they have tons of money.
Remedy
And as you can
apologized for
see-
making this.
Yeah,
I think it was Remedy, right?
I think
a
that's
Chinese
what
company
we're
paid
thinking
them
of.
to do it. Yeah.
And if that's Remedy, then yeah, that's the one where you have like the monsters versus humans in one of the modes. It was completely broken. Anyways, these is money for trying to, I guess, make this popular here. It's still not going to work, but it is popular amongst other countries, so maybe that's for this. This was by Platique Image, and it looked good in terms of the CGI.
Yeah.
Impressive.
But that's about the best I can say about it. I thought the CGI was impressive. On the level of Blur Studios. It's basically a bunch of mercenaries protecting a client versus the Crossfire,
But you don't know who
elite
the bad
team.
people are. So
It's a matter of perspective,
Yeah, it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
We're not the bad guys.
Sometimes
they
you get
keep
caught
saying.
up in the Crossfire.
That's way more interesting. They should have done a episode.
Little kid with a leather jacket, and then he
Right.
gets banished to the Shadow
Make
Realm.
that
and
the
the kid's
episode.
like, yeah.
Well, Crossfire. You get okay, and then but it was boring, and I started looking at my
It's
phone.
long, too. It just
Yeah.
doesn't end.
Yeah, but no, I paid attention for those who were gonna jump on that comment where I'm getting bored and looking at my phone. Indistinct military operators shoot at each other that I don't give a shit about. I don't care about all these characters.
this was a decoy.
I hate the speak.
Oh,
The speak.
yeah.
Military speak.
But he killed DeGiacomo. It's like, what?
What?
Who?
Jack Hammer, and then And I'm like, that's not how Humvees work. There's this chase sequence eventually with Humvees where one Humvee, you know, they start shooting out the back of the piece of crap car. And the client is always like, why are you guys always have shitty stuff? We got to go to the backup car. You mean there's a car shittier than this one? Ha, ha, ha. And they're firing this big gun out of it. And so then the Humvee has to veer off. But if you look, the Humvee falls, I'd say, about 3 feet down, and it's like a little ravine that's going alongside on the highway. And then, you know, this super tough, you know, elite mercenary chick is driving, and she goes, oh, no, you don't. And then she turns the wheel, and if you look at it, you know, if you turn the wheel, you just slam into the little ravine that you're in. It's like, that's not how Humvees work. But somehow it just goes on. It just looks
The
ridiculous.
power of family, all things are possible.
The power of battle brother
I
family.
watched Vin Diesel hook a wheel into a steel cable and then run away from a helicopter to a different island.
If this was that fucking dumb, like the Fast and the Furious, I would have been entertained. I wouldn't have been as bored. But they took it too fucking serious. It's like, this fuck killed Mason, because they started shooting at
Mission's
each other and
over. It's
bullets kill.
complete.
Bullets kill each other. And
My contract doesn't cover your briefcase.
yeah, it's like, give up the briefcase. So the two ladies are pointing guns at each other because eventually the client runs away because one of the guys gets pissed that his friend died. So he goes after the other guy. They have a close combat CQB, man. Stabs him in the leg and is about to kill him. But then she's like, no, let's leave. And then that's when the lady shows up, and then the other lady shows up. So the two ladies are pointing guns at each other. And it's like the client is there with his briefcase, and she's like, I just want the briefcase. And then I guess they have a heart. So they decide to leave the briefcase for that team, and then this
It's down in the
team
contract.
gets to exfil.
Contract was the guy. That's
Just
it.
the guy.
Mission
And
complete.
he's a
But
piece
she
of
could
shit.
have just gone and then got.
No, you
No, you
track
can't
down.
because
You can have
we don't
violence
know
in this
who the
video
bad
game.
guy is.
Who cares?
Yeah.
If I would have heard in the radio that, what is it, Jack Hammer got shot, and he was so pissed off, I probably like that guy too. So now you're gonna die. But she's like, no, they don't pay us enough to like my friends. They don't pay us enough for me to want to get revenge.
Yeah.
If somebody killed Joe, I would want to get revenge. But that's like saying no.
Depends on how.
That's like saying no. My contract was for one video with Joe, and I don't care. And so I don't know. That's why I was like, so not only was it boring and stupid, but it's like
Yeah,
I
this ain't
didn't
it.
get it. And this one wasn't it. So, anyways, they leave, and he's like, you don't understand. I need that case. As soon as they get their hands on me, they're
gonna
gonna
fucking kill me.
fucking kill me. And they're like, hey, that's not our problem.
You're
Mission
bad.
complete.
You're bad at paperwork. Ha 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 ha.
He was kind of a dick, so that was supposed to be like, aha, we got him moment.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, it's like, we're working for this asshole, so we're the bad guys. No, we're not really the bad guys, because we made that bad guy get bad with other bad guys, and they're going to be bad guys to him.
Yeah.
That's how you get caught up.
Cool.
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
I was between 3 and a 4. I honestly felt like
I was
this
thinking
is
3 too.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a start of a fucking Steven Seagal film.
Oh,
That's what I was
You
thinking.
can drink the Steven Seagal
Yeah.
films. Like this, I don't want on my TV at all under any
That's
circumstance.
honestly what I was thinking. It's like one of the fucking
Dude, a fat
terrible-
old man sitting in
in
a
a chair.
in a roller chair shooting people
With
with,
his
a
eyes
pistol
closed.
with his eyes closed. That's hilarious.
So I went up. Did I give the Arnold? I gave the Arnold one a 10. So I went up 1 point because they originally had it a 9. I'm gonna bring this one down 1 point.
I think it's a 3.
From 4 to a 3. I'm going 3.
I think it's a 3 as well. I think this is
Great
this
animation,
is bad.
but
Yeah, I'm not giving him a ton of extra points for. I mean, all of the people that worked on all of these did an amazing job with
Yes.
the animation. That's why you're here. The story was poor.
yeah,
Okay. Moving on to episode 8. Wonderful,
10 out of 10.
wonderful way to end the series, because I was like really disappointed. I'm like, oh man, are the rest of the episodes gonna be shit? This one was great. It's Armored Core Asset Management. There's a voice in this guy's head. This guy is a loner, kind
He's
of
crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's an old aug. It's like an augmented. They don't even make them anymore. They don't know how to make them, and it's and I was like, wait, is that who I think it is? Because I never walked into these knowing that there would be celebrities
Yeah.
involved. So I liked that little surprise. And I know we ruined it for you, but you should have
You're in
seen
the
it
spoiler
already.
section
we
already.
were already in the spoiler section.
Good.
We already said that.
Keanu Reeves is the voice, and he does a great job.
We
You
get
can
Boba
tell
Fett.
he immerses himself
Boba
in the
Fett.
character. Yeah, true. And
Arnold's
also,
kid for some reason.
Oh, I didn't
His
know.
legitimate son.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Did
know
you look that up or something?
Yeah, it's Patrick Schwarzenegger's one of
I
the voices
just
in this or
recognized
something.
him.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize any. Okay, but anyways, he's like, so the voice in his head. I love the world here. The world is like a mixture. If you don't know the Armored Core stuff, to actually see the interiors and to see the workings of it, it's like Blade Runner mixed with Hawken. If you remember Hawken. Yeah, you remember Hawken. It's mechs on mechs. Joe didn't play as much as we did. And it's like mecha stuff, and it's just cool. It's really, really like, it's like low-tech, high-tech kind of stuff, and I like that. And yeah, the voice is talking to him, and he's kind of reminds me of Cyberpunk too, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like,
of course.
hey, now he's the one that has the voice in his head. Keanu. He's like, you're just a few grams of isotopes attached to my brain
Why gotta
stem.
be such an asshole?
Yeah, I like the rapport that he has with the
Yeah.
voice in his head. Anyway, she's like, you're at your best when you're in a metal jacket, and I'm like, the mechs, and of course, he jumps on into a mech. We after the bar fight, it's like the people are like, hey, don't mess with that guy. He's crazy.
They don't make him like they
They
used
don't
to.
make-
He's
yeah.
one of the old guys.
He's one of the old guys. Then he hops into a mech, and he's jacked in. And this was so cool. The sequence of him jacking in is so cool. I loved it. It was grungy sci-fi equipment. And then they do the Armored Core thing where you
That's
have
fucking
these
sweet.
bulky yet skinny mandible mechs, and they slide and skid everywhere. Now, in the mecha universe, you have lots of different types. You got your big bulky that move super slow. You got your, these fast skidders, and more creatures and stuff. For me, I'm not the hugest fan of like these kind of skidding mech fight styles. But when you present it like this, it's really, really cool. And I started to fall in love with it. The hard reality of what's going on in the cockpit as you're fighting was really cool to see as well.
Yeah.
He's talking. He's trying to work it out. He's like, these guys are good. And, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? How can they be? He's supposed to be the best and everything. Well, it turns out, as he gets to the target area, she reveals what it was is that you were made here. The Keanu character was made here, and the technique was lost. And these pilots that are in the mechs that he was fighting were augmented themselves. And he's like, how is this possible? Like, what is that? And then, she's like, these are your people.
You don't have to be alone anymore.
And then the cockpit opens of one of the rival pilots. He's like, help. And then, he puts the finger
thought it was
out. And I was
gonna
like,
be
that's so
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
I
Nope,
thought that's
it's
so
like, oh,
nice.
God.
And then he just goes, and that was the coolest moment right there. I'm like, oh, he's not necessarily a good guy.
yeah,
This
No,
guy's
there's
a
no.
fucking-
no one as good as me.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's a fuck
that's
yeah.
metal as fuck.
That is metal as fuck.
I mean, doesn't have to be a good guy. That's
No,
cool as shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so,
fucking epic.
what are you rating?
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
That was like the best one. Best one on the list.
I love Armored Core. I mean, I got to go and get my ass kicked in like the Japanese arcades by these people that it's like they're practically their job after job to play these games, and it's just so cool. I loved it.
9 out of 10 for me. I don't really see anything wrong with it. It's fucking sweet. Now, the Armored Core universe is not my preferred mecha,
Yeah,
but this
it's fine.
really grew on me, and now I'm quite interested. So, if I put all mine together, that's 9 plus 3 plus 4, and then because I've changed my rating since.
You raised one, you lowered one, so as long as you didn't do too
No,
much outside of that.
I raised this last one as well. Originally,
Oh.
I had it at an 8.
Oh, okay.
I went up to a 9. So we're at like 7.45, something like that. And I'm still gonna stick with a a 7 out of 10. Actually, upon talking about it, I feel like maybe the premiere can be an 8 out of 10, like you guys were saying, because you were able to self-compartmentalize these 2 episodes, kind of toss them out.
I'm just
When
warning you,
toss
just,
them
like,
out.
just don't watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they super interest you, or just don't.
Or maybe watch them so you can get greater appreciation of the better ones,
Yeah,
because those just didn't work. And frankly, the shitty part is the Crossfire Good Conflict is the longest.
Yeah.
I wish that should have been the shortest, and some of these other better ones should have been
Yeah.
longer. Because that was my main problem. That's why I originally went with 8 on that Armored Core. Is I wanted more. Right
That's
when
good,
that,
though,
right
but
when he
that's
crushed
supposed to
that
be-
guy, I
It's
was
an
like,
amuse-bouche.
"Let's go!
You're
What's
not
the
sup-
mission? How many others are there? This and that. I need
now
to
you're
know."
intrigued. You
but
wanna
now
go-
you made me mad because we'll never see it again.
Well, it's like the Love, Death, Robots. I still think is the Russian troop going through in the snow in World War II, and they find the aliens, and they have to set up that final stand. Like that is peak. And yes, I want an entire series. I want a movie, but I'm just so glad that we got that one.
it's
You just have to,
fast.
love it that you only get. Be
Yeah.
happy you got 15 minutes.
All right, so that's it. December 17th, we'll get the final 7 episodes, and let me see if I can tell you from what franchises we still have to go.
Concord.
We still have The Outer Worlds, Obsidian Entertainment.
Okay.
Spelunky from Moss Mouth. PlayStation from Sony Interactive.
Astrobot advertisement.
Mega Man, Capcom. Honor of Kings, Taimai Studio Group. Exodus.
Oh, Teamy. So that's
Teamy.
the $10 billion mobile
I was
game.
thinking, is that the mobile?
Exodus, Archetype Entertainment, and Concord, Sony Interactive.
Oh, the last half I think is going to be significally worse than the
Yeah,
first
from
half,
going
just based
there,
on that list.
Yeah, so then that's kind of why I'm like, maybe I'm
they
going to
should have
front load
switched
my
some
score.
out.
Hey,
Move some around. To
I'm kind of
make it
now
seem
maybe starting to understand the IGN score based purely on the names on the last half.
All right, well,
see.
guys, we'll see in the last half. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Go watch it. The first half is great. Bye, guys.